You're creatures of paper, bred of an artificial culture, whose dearest possessions is your prejudices, and important only in the hollowness of your smirking vanities. Hypocrisy is your Bible, stupidity is the cornerstone of your existence, and dishonesty your human essence. In other words, you will never accept a new idea unless it is offered with proof. You have no vision, only sight. Small men, small views. You want proof, do you? Well, I'll give you proof. I'll show you such proof that no men have ever had.
I'm not the one who's so far away when I feel the snake bite and tear my veins. Never did I wanna be here again, and I don't remember why I came.
Good freaking evening. You are listening to Diogenes Bane, originally uploaded to Spreaker.com, and I am your host tonight, Jim Peters. And what I want to talk about tonight actually has to do with a great deal of crap that is going on in the media, and this is all essentially centered around the concept of gun control, or lack thereof. So, the only way to look at it is this way. Our nation, our country, has come under attack. And it's not by ISIS or Al-Qaeda, Taliban, or some other political creation. This nation has become the target of its own media services. Do a little research. I always tell people to check things out for themselves. But there are 6 corporations that control 90% of the media, the news outlets, magazines, publications, books. 6 corporations that control 90% of what you see and or read. They are referred to as the, quote, Big 6. These companies are, and I'm going to list the companies, and their 2015 revenue. Comcast. Their revenue for 2015 was $69 billion. The Walt Disney Company, $48.8 billion. And one simply called News Corporation, $40.5 billion. Time Warner, $22.8. Viacom, $13.7 billion. CBS, $13.8 billion. And I'll read this disclaimer on the page I got these figures. It says, although Viacom and CBS have been separate since 2006, they're both partially owned subsidiaries of the private National Amusements Company. Yeah, go figure. Either way, it comes down to 6 major corporations, and you can look this up on Wikipedia or whatever site. Just simply type in how many, who owns the news media in the United States, and it'll all show up. But this means that the thousands of television shows, magazines, books, and even podcasts, but not this one, as I am broke, so I'm not getting paid, are all set to meet a multitude of agendas. I will post a link in the description, although I realize I've already forgotten to do that. But just to prove that so many media companies are owned by. You'll see the video. It's a video link. But like I said, even podcasts are sometimes owned to generate an agenda. Not that I would mind the kind of paycheck some of these broadcasters get, but it's completely unethical to compromise the truth or alter your belief systems just so you can buy a house or socks at Walmart. So what we have to do is identify the agenda. Anyone can grasp this by studying a useful concept called yellow journalism. It is journalism that is based on sensationalism or crude exaggerations, by definition. While some journalism may not be yellowed, one can note that certain news stories appear to be conveniently placed and timed to meet a certain agenda. Every time the United States has gone to war, I know, try to figure out a time we haven't, good luck, the opinions of Americans were being formulated by the print and images thrown in our faces. We come to go to war, and long before we do or intervene on a quote peacekeeping mission, our opinion of the people in these places have been formulated by what these 6 corporations want us to see. So it's like you see some bad stuff going on in country X, for about a year or so, and then finally the people stand up and say, we need to intervene. We need to go over there and kick some ass and straighten this out. And so then the government goes, okay, people, I hear you. We're going to do it because you asked for it, even though they've already, shown you exactly what they want you to see. But it's just like a timeshare. You're shown exactly what they want you to see, and you purchase this timeshare, but when you get there, you find this wonderful landfill that was just out of the frame of the picture of the property. The American news media is a joke. I can't understand how anyone would be willing to compromise their ethics for a paycheck. The sad part is that most broadcasters actually believe what they're reporting. We've all seen by now the hurricane reporters and how they find the windiest places of a city from which to broadcast. Or the video of the Today Show reporter Michelle Kaczynski, I think it was, and she's in a canoe and she's broadcasting about this major flooding episode, and there are people walking like in the shot and the water's like ankle deep. I mean, if that isn't proof that your news, whatever you choose, sensationalizes the topic for ratings, just like Sweeps Week. That's exactly what it is. But yeah, that was a pretty embarrassing thing about her sitting in this canoe in water that's ankle deep. And, but anyway, we keep buying into it. And with the evidence, though, the evidence, here's the thing, it's all around us. If we dare look. Again, click the link I will post. I need to go back and re-edit that and make sure that's in the description, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. This one video will absolutely open your mind to just how far-reaching these 6 corporations are, all the way down to your local news. So again, today let's identify the agenda of today's media attacks. Most prominent, as I wrote in the description, is gun control and racism. But when did this begin? Well, you remember a while back when everybody was throwing tantrums of the Confederate flag being on Facebook or on TV or blah, 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 blah. You know, that's just it. It doesn't matter. This flag can exist and represents people, Americans, black and white, who fought for something. I mean, it was obviously important. They gave their lives for it. But now the flag represents racism. And I'll tell you, the Civil War had less to do with slavery than most people think. But now, in an age, as we are told, that we're supposed to be evolving beyond racism, your news is doing its job of making you afraid. If you're black, you're supposed to be afraid of white cops. If you're white, you're supposed to be afraid of blacks. I tell you, it is my sincerest hope that someone out there is listening who can see beyond the mind games the state is playing. If 6 companies who own and operate thousands of news outlets want you to believe what they choose, it will be literally in your face. Right now, someone can publicly degrade women and fill our heads with ethnic hatred, destroy government property, have their campaigns funded by countries who allegedly house the very terrorists we're supposed to be fighting, and they can win, quote, win the presidency, the office of the United States president. I say win because it really doesn't matter what puppet sits in the Oval Office. The agenda is the same. So right now the murders of innocent people are flooding our minds. At the source of those murders are guns and race. If you continue to believe that every white person is KKK and every black person is a Black Panther and every Muslim is going to blow up your post office, then you have been brainwashed and are exactly the sheep the state has designed you to become. A brother of mine, Terry, I don't know if he ever listens to this, but mention him anyway, has a Facebook group called Only Fools Forget Their History. And that name is the exact truth. When we fail to learn from our pasts, we are sometimes destined to repeat it, no matter how dysfunctional it was. Even what I say can be misconstrued as fear-mongering when I remind you that laws under Hitler's regime determined who could legally own firearms. Laws were, quote, loosened for members of the Nazi Party and tightened for, quote, unreliable persons, especially Jews. Sounds a little familiar, which I'll get to. But the idea of disarming an entire nation of people should sound an alarm of a nearly unprecedented magnitude. Now again, when I talk about Hitler says we need to disarm unreliable people, and I know you can't see the air quotes,